For whom the bell tolls. Statement number 76. Statement giver Arnold Snow. Experienced April 3rd, 1942, Virginia. Given August 4th, 1947. Recorded by Edward Kane, the archivist. Statement begins. I'm not even sure how much I'm authorized to say, to be honest. What I do for the Navy does not even have a name yet, but I'll put it this way for you. If the Marines charged on the shores of the Japanese islands, my team was already there several hours or days before doing recon, completing more scenes. That being said, the program I was told to report for only took the best of the best in athletics and intelligence gathering. Passing the physical was no issue, but it's what they had us do afterwards on those beaches that I'm here to talk about. The instructors called it BUDS, but we in the Steves called it Hell Week. 1 week of pain, lack of sleep, and drills that was designed to weed out the weak soldiers. Now, I'm not some pansy from the city or some alcoholic idiot like the other soldiers who were basically glorified cannon fodder. I'll say it. Marines were designed to be expendable, which is why they were given just basic training compared to the training you'd see. I had experience with guns from my time back home on the farm. My family had a lot of land, and I would hunt a lot. What those farm days didn't prepare me for was the bell. You see, soldiers could opt out of the training program at any time and go die on some random battleship if they wanted. All they had to do with the bell that was a couple thousand feet up a hill. The psychiatrist we were required to check in with before missions said that it must have been an emotionally scarring experience for the quitters, but I did not feel bad for them. That is until I went to ring the bell. I didn't ring it, but not for the reasons you think. I was on the 5th day of having no sleep when it happened. I was being hosed down with cold water on the beaches after swimming in freezing water when I began to lose my nerve. Only around 20 in my class remained, and were still here, and I could see the exhaustion on all of their faces. We all wanted it to end. But it wasn't until we were once again sent to raft in these treacherous waters after running 20-odd miles that I had had enough. My brain shut down and my willpower failed. I needed food and sleep. I jumped from my raft and swam to shore to make my way up the hill to ring the bell. Those officer bastards had trailers with hot food within island where only the soldiers who rung the bell got to have a hot meal in a warm bed. They yelled some obscurities about me being a failure as I ran past them, but there was only one thing on my mind: food and sleep. I began making my way up the hill when something weird happened. I was running up the winding hill and saw discarded combat boots and shirts. That's weird, I thought. Maybe the others who rung the bell were so tired that they couldn't even carry their boots anymore. It was possible, but the shirts didn't make sense. It was 40 degrees outside. The rain was freezing that night. There was no way they would throw off their shirts. But I kept running. I could almost taste food when something caught my eye up ahead. Several bolts of lightning had caused a flash on something metallic about 50 feet up the hill. I ran up to the place and saw dog tags. Now, I don't know if you've ever been in the military, but you do not abandon your dog tags. I turned the tag over to read. I can't say due to confidentiality, but what matters is that the person rung the bell on day 3. How had no one claimed their tags after 2 days? I shook my head and kept running. Whatever happened to him, I could find out later. Maybe he went AWOL, I thought. But what I saw when I turned up the winding hill was what caused me to no longer be interested in food or sleep. I saw in front of me hundreds of dog tags. I checked several to see the names of the men I'd been in boot camp with who had supposedly rung the bell days ago. I was searching through the tags and other equipment, and I was startled by what appeared to be an older man in a grey suit, which I thought was odd, as no civilians were supposed to be out here. He didn't look threatening, but something inside me. Look, I was raised a Baptist, and I believe in evil. I had never felt evil until I saw this. I don't even know if it was a man. He smiled, revealing a perfect row of teeth, and asked me if I needed help getting to the bell, and that he had come to collect them. He gestured to the dog tags when he said them, but it was the ominous way in which he said it. like a tiger looking at its prey, already mentally devouring them. I said no and asked who he was, but he simply laughed it off and said it did not matter to me and I was off limits. I asked him what he meant by this, but he ignored me and began picking up the tags. I swear to you that he was licking his lips while doing so. I was curious, of course, but I began to wonder if the lack of sleep and food was beginning to play with my head, so I ran away from that disgusting little creature masquerading as a man and climbed up the hill. But what I saw is the reason I could not get to the bell. I was around 100 feet and I saw my friends from boot camp, but not strong and agile as they were, but in this sort of half-alive, decayed state as they tried to crawl away from the bell. They screamed like animals and gnashed their teeth, but were silenced by the man in the grey suit, who had somehow passed me and was taking their dog tags off them. When the tag was removed from them, it was almost as if their soul had left them, and horribly decayed body fell to the ground and turned to ashes. I froze in place, and my training kicked in as I was prepared to defend myself from this man, but he simply tipped his hat to me after collecting all of the dog tags and walked over to the bell. He smiled wryly and told me that I would not want to see this next part. And as he rung the bell, what I saw, I've seen horrors of war, but I have never seen something so indescribably terrible as 100 in agony, all being drowned out by the loud bell as the man put the dog tags into a large briefcase he held beside him. I sprinted down the hill and rejoined my team with a new sense of fear and determination. I would never ring the bell or even climb that hill, no matter how painful the training was. When the training had finished, I tried to talk to others who had rung the bell, but their military records all read that they had died overseas in the island-hopping campaign. But I know what really happened to those for whom the bell tolls. Statement ends. Follow-up required. We have been unable to contact Mr. Snow, and we tried to search his name in the military records to no avail. It is likely that he used a fake name when giving his statement. However, we were able to find an abandoned training facility in Virginia that Mr. Snow mentioned on Moores Beach.